guys, Lee Sanders here. You're checking out an all-new The RCWR Show, covering the latest in wrestling entertainment, pop culture, news, and beyond since 2011. Coming at you for September the 9th, 2019. My God, can you guys believe that 2019 is almost over and done with? In all the years that I have been doing the show, I have to tell you, this year in particular is one that I'm going to remember for quite some time because it's just been so crazy how so much time has flown by. It feels like it was only maybe 3 months ago, for me at least, that 2019 had began. So sometimes I just kind of find it a bit surreal or all that good stuff. So hope you guys have had a fantastic start to your week so far. Most importantly, the weekend we just had. Hope you guys had enjoyed it, had some nice relaxful fun. Hopefully you had got together with some friends. Maybe you had a couple of tailgate parties or went to a party, hung out at a bar or whatever, and checked out some of that great NFL action. Lot of NFL drama. I'll talk a little bit more about that on the later part of the show. We'll particularly maybe talk about it for on demand and on the downloads for our audience. But I know, right? Some of you guys probably wanted to pick my brain off the break, but I kind of want to go in with the wrestling stuff because there's a lot of big pieces of wrestling news that's come about since last we were on the air with you guys that I definitely want to touch upon. But it's a nice jam-packed show for you guys. By the way, I got to give a quick shout out. Normally, I like to save my shout outs until we get to the midway point during the show and everything, but I gotta just say this off the break. It is wrestling related, so you gotta indulge me for just a couple of seconds here. I want to give a big shout out to those of you that have made it your business to check out the interview that myself and my good friend, my amigo, my compadre, Anthony Missionary Thomas from Wrestling Soup had conducted with WOW, Women of Wrestling's Selena Majors, aka Bambi. We had sat down with her last week, and it was a great conversation that we had. It was pretty much about 30 minutes long, and a couple of wrestling news media outlets actually did pick up on that interview. And appreciate all of the wrestling outlets that, hey, this looks pretty good, run with it. Those of you guys know exactly who you are, but big special shout out in particular to the good kind folks over at Wrestling Inc. We've been friends with them for many years. We're basically contributors, as far as any type of wrestling news we're able to come across, any particular events that we cover. Always we give them the exclusive. We always give them first dibs, and usually that's the trickle down effect that it has. I mean, I know more than just them, but as far as making sure everything is accurate and nothing is misconstrued in any type of a way, those are my go-to guys. Been trusting them for many years now. I mean, my God, I think I go back with them definitely way before I started even getting into the podcasting. I actually want to say I remember these guys when I was in college. So we're talking early 2000s, and they may have been around a little bit before that, right? Before the early 2000s, but definitely early 2000s, I remember them being around. So I appreciate everybody that went out of your way to check out the interview. If you didn't get a chance to check out the interview yet, please make it be your business and do so after you get done with this episode, as it is available on demand, on the downloads. We got it available on YouTube in the guest interview section, but it's also available everywhere else. Wherever you get your podcast normally, it's available there. Also available via our RCWR Show app. And if you enjoyed that conversation that we had with Selena Majors, we had sat down, Mission and I, we sat down Friday, and we hammered out not one, but two conversations with Teal Piper, the daughter of the late WWE Hall of Famer, Roddy Piper, and we talked to the man himself, the founder and owner of WOW, Women of Wrestling, David McClain. So we have both of those audios being cleaned up as we speak. The way we got it set up is going to go to our Patreon members first. So you Patreon members, RCWR Show, you guys will get that ASAP, and then it'll trickle to the free outlet. It'll be free for all some days later. That's pretty much how we're doing it. We gotta look out for our Patreon members, and we'll get into some Patreon shout outs later. But hey, how about Monday Night Raw for tonight, man? My God, that shit, I thought it was an okay episode. I thought it was a nice go home episode to the pay per view coming up this Sunday. And shout out, man. I love getting in these shout outs here, man. Shout out to Seth. Seth is a good, he's been a long time listener for the past several months now. But Seth, I got to give him a lot of props because whenever it comes to the pay per views, Seth makes it be his business in particular. I mean, he's already checking out numerous podcasts as it is that he likes, but he makes it upon his business to always track the predictions of some of his favorite wrestling podcasts, right? Or podcasts that happen to talk about wrestling. So, Seth, I know you're going to be checking this out. Yes, I will be getting into Clash of Champions predictions during the initial web stream broadcast. So make sure you make a note of that, okay? I'll try to see if I can remember to give you a timestamp later, but in case you don't get that in time, it is going to be covered during the webcast version because usually he goes for the webcast version first. MSG Raw tonight, loved it. Very curious to see what's going to happen Tuesday night as the action at MSG continues, as we're going to have the dead man himself, The Undertaker, is going to be in the house. But Stone Cold tonight, loved it. You know, I like how Raw pretty much had set things up tonight because, look, we are now back in full effect with the NFL Monday nights, okay? So if there was really seriously any type of competition that WWE usually has, it's on Monday nights, as we all know, right? Because of the football season. So, and there was a really great game on between the New Orleans Saints taking on the Houston Texans. I was enjoying that game pretty much up until, I want to say, midway through the third quarter. Then I just pretty much kept it on Raw as I was prepping, getting ready for the show tonight. But for me, I thought it was interesting how Raw pretty much had kicked off. Okay, you know what? Everybody's going to be tuning in to Monday night. We need a heavy hitter. How are we going to get people locked in? How are we going to get them in the palm of our hands and stick around for some of the great action to come? Okay, got an idea. Let's open up with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And you know what? That was a fantastic move that WWE did on their part. So pretty much Stone Cold Steve Austin kicking off things, really getting down to the heart of the matter of why he was brought back in this particular case, which is the contract signing for the Universal Championship between Braun Strowman and Seth frickin' Rollins. So the crowd, oh my God, man, just when you thought that maybe what we saw of Steve Austin a couple of weeks back with that Raw reunion was maybe just a one-time type of deal or whatever. It was just in the right city. It was among the right type of a wrestling crowd. I mean, come on, seriously. Did you honestly think it would be any different if WWE had brought the action to MSG, right? Of all the cities, right? Did you really think it was going to be lackluster for Stone Cold Steve Austin tonight? MSG, New York, WWE, so much history at the Garden. Years upon years upon years. Go back to the days of Bruno Sammartino, all of that. I'm not going to educate you guys on the wrestling history because a lot of you guys, you know enough of your wrestling history by now, right? Right? Especially with the WWE helping you guys out every chance that they get. So to see Steve Austin and really the WWE roster back in New York, in particular back at MSG, it put such a big smile on my face tremendously. I love telling the story, but there was a couple of times I remember growing up. There's a couple of times I remember how me and Dark Dragon, we used to go up to New York. And after one of the first times I ever went to New York was actually with her. And one of the main reasons why we went up to New York, we went there because we wanted to see the new WWE store. And we also had heard about the WWE restaurant and everything. And we're talking early 2000s. So I want to say at this point, I believe it was somewhere between 2001 to 2003 is when we did our trip to New York. And we went to go see the WWE shop in the WWE restaurant. I mean, we were planning, and we did more than just going up there and just sightseeing. It was, hey, let's see if we can buy some cool stuff while we're up here. And so I remember we hopped on a Greyhound And my God, we got up so fucking butt early. We must have got up at about maybe 4:30 in the morning to begin our commute. We took the public train down to Union Station. For those of you that know the DC metropolitan area well, took it down to Union Station, and then from Union Station, we pretty much had hopped on a Greyhound bus, and then we must have rode that bus for about maybe 4 to 4.5 hours, and then we were in New York City. We got to New York, I remember, by 11 a.m. So we pretty much had got there right at the start of when everything else had opened, right? So we got off and we just started sightseeing, just started checking out all of the places that was there. And we pretty much knew, look, we're going to be hanging out there all day. We planned on not coming back, and true to our word, we didn't end up traveling back home until about maybe, I would say, probably 5, maybe almost 6 o'clock at night is when we went on ahead, and we were like, okay, let's go ahead and let's head on back home. And we didn't make it back home, I would say, probably not until about maybe 10, almost 11 o'clock at night, give or take. But we had so much fun out there in New York. And I remember as we got closer to the WWE store and restaurant, we had saw this big ass, it was just broad daylight. There was this big ass Dwayne The Rock Johnson statue. I mean, it was a wax statue and it looked just like him. Like, we were, hey, is that The Rock? And I'm like, I'm looking, I'm going, holy shit, it's The Rock. What's The Rock just doing standing out here like this? And I ran, and she wasn't that far behind me, but she was kind of running a little bit too, so I run up to him and I'm like, oh man, Rock, how you doing, man? And I'm going, uh I'm sorry, am I disrespecting you by just running up to you like this? And I'm going, dude, you okay? And finally Dark Dragon, she's like, yeah, I don't think that's real. Like, really? And so, we're looking, and finally, and he was wearing one of those $500 shirts and all that shit. So finally, I just touched him, and I was like, oh damn, it's not him, it's a fucking wax figure. But I mean, it looks so fucking real. It was fucking scary. The restaurant was not opened. But the WWE store was, so we went on in there, and I mean, my God, if you guys ever went to the Warner Brothers store, you know exactly that feeling I'm talking about when you just go inside of a place like a WWE store, and you just feel like, my God, I've died 1,000 times over, and I am in fucking euphoria because everything is at my disposal. All of my favorite superstars, all of the shirts, the toys, and you name it, everything is just right here. We must have spent about maybe 45 to 50 minutes just browsing in there, taking pictures, all kinds of cool shit. It was awesome. Bummed out that we didn't get to eat at the WWE restaurant. Really, really bummed out. And shortly, after that trip that we had made, as you all know your wrestling history very well, the WWE store and restaurant, it didn't make it that much longer because of this whole, and we've told it over the years, but long story short, the people that were put in charge of the WWE store and the restaurant, they were skimming the books. They were just, I mean, there was so much money that was unaccounted for. And I can't remember the guy's name, but I remember one of the last times we had brought this up, it was a couple of years ago, and I remember there was a listener, and he knows exactly who he is, so shout out to him. But there was someone that I think still checks out the show, actually. He had said, yeah, Lee, I actually used to have a friend, that worked at the WWE store and everything, and I can confirm firsthand, yada yada yada. And I was like, oh really? And he was able to tell some stuff that, like, only he would know from directly those that were involved and everything like that. And yeah, you had people that were going under the table, so much money that was unaccounted for. You also had some extracurricular illegal activity that was going on, some contraband shit that was going on. So ultimately, that's why the joints got closed when it was all said and done. And that pretty much had came from higher up in Connecticut and everything like that. So that was kind of like a bit of a blow. But I mean, for those of you that maybe have never been to New York before, I'm telling you, as far as Madison Square Garden goes, like, look, anybody that has come to the New York area for anything, business, pleasure, or combination, will tell you from the Madison Square Garden, Times Square, and all that other. I mean, everything is just pretty much relatively in walking distance, basically. And it's like, why catch an Uber and all this other stuff when you can just go out there, have some fun. Usually the people are pretty cool. No complaints from me, because every time I've gone up there, the New Yorkers have been nothing but kind to me. Nothing but kind. And I've traveled to New York many times. That's my go-to place when I need some R&R. So to hear that there hasn't been an episode of WWE Raw from MSG in 20 years, you're like, how is that even fucking possible? Like, seriously, how is that even possible? So, very ecstatic that the New Yorkers, particularly the wrestling fans that used to come to MSG for so many years, really happy that they got to see a nice, cool treat tonight. I don't really care about the logistics, about the whole, oh, well, this had happened at MSG because they were having a hard time selling tickets. And, I don't care about all that at the end of the day. What I care about ultimately is, from a wrestling fan perspective, I care more about the fans that are going to be going to these things. I care more about them having a great freaking time. That's what I care about the most, and the biggest bang that they can get for their buck. I don't care if they paid $3,000 for their seats or if they paid $20 for their seats. I care more about, hey, the fan is able to walk away and say, hey, you know what? That was a really good, awesome show. Had a great night tonight. Bought some cool merch. Can't really complain. Took some great photos. Can't really complain. And I think tonight you could legitimately feel the crowd's energy all throughout the 3 hour show. They were really eating everything up. They were just so caught up in the moment. The Stone Cold is like what happened with the Raw reunion. The Stone Cold here tonight, really just having the crowd once again, palm of his hands. I mean, I loved it. I just loved it. And I was actually watching this with my girl, and yeah, we were just going back and forth, and she was like, man, he looks really good. I said, yeah, he does. Like, not bad for a guy in his 50s now. Yeah. She's like, yeah. And it's like, it's amazing, how well he's been able to maintain himself over the years. I mean, it's literally like you're watching the guy. I think he looks in even better shape, and I think you all would agree. He looks to be in even better shape than when he had his final match, which was technically his retirement match. I think he looks to be even better shape than at that point. So I mean, he's done really well for himself over the years. I can't say nothing negative about Steve Austin. I really, really can't. Seeing him mingle with Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, loved all of that. Seth, for me, I really enjoyed the chemistry more between my man Braun Strowman and Steve Austin. I mean, I looked at these two guys and I was sizing them up, and I'm going, man, Braun Strowman, yeah, he's a little bit bigger than Steve Austin, but look at the guns on Steve. Steve could, man, I'm telling you, if he could come to some type of a deal with WWE, a couple of matches, yeah, him and Braun would have a damn good time, that's for sure. But, he looked pretty damn good. And then, to make matters even more cooler, you get to see AJ Styles and the OC come out, and they're interacting with Steve Austin, Seth, and Braun. Really enjoyed that. AJ Styles, here's another one. You're like, oh, Steve Austin. But now, here comes someone that's been established on the main roster now for a couple of years now, has really earned his stripes, right? It's kind of like technically the new Shawn Michaels, the second coming of Shawn Michaels, if you will, in AJ Styles, right? And here he is, crowd in the palm of his hands, just got them eating it up, playing the antagonist heel oh so perfectly. Loved all of that. I mean, he wasn't coming at Steve Austin with anything that was, ooh, nothing like that, but just so witty, playing off with a crowd. I love the fact that I don't really think AJ Styles gets enough credit. He really, really doesn't. And, I can say proudly, I've watched AJ Styles since TNA. saw what he was doing at all the other wrestling promotions, Ring of Honor, all of those other promotions before coming to the WWE. And I guess I just got to tell you, from a personality standpoint, from a microphone performance standpoint, AJ Styles has made leaps and bounds of dramatic improvement. And to see him on display tonight, keeping in mind that what he has in the middle of the ring is one of the Mount Rushmores of pro wrestling in Steve Austin, and he's able to go out there, he's able to hang, he doesn't falter whatsoever. And just when you think maybe the crowd is getting the best of him, because their crowd, I mean, that New York crowd, man, love that New York crowd, coming in at him with the soccer mom chants, coming at him with the what chants, and he's just playing with it, taking it, playing, throwing it right back in their face, basically. Love that. Love that. A lot of the younger cats on the roster can learn so much from how that segment. I was going to say AJ, but just that segment in general. A lot of the younger guys that still scratch, they can learn so much from watching AJ Styles, but everything just flows so well. And then to have the whole beatings just come about, you got Braun and Seth just brawling with the OC. Looks like AJ gets the upper hand, but he forgets about Stone Cold. Stone Cold delivering a freaking stunner. Was happy to see Steve Austin deliver a stunner. What did I say on the show last week? In case you had missed it, one of the things that I talked about was, hey, and I think when we did bring it up, I don't think it actually made the webcast. I think this was said for when we did the second half of the show on demand and on the downloads. I basically had said, hey, you've got this episode of Straight Up Steve Austin where Steve is chatting it up with Becky Lynch, and we got a scene where Becky Lynch delivers a stunner to Steve Austin. Okay, so he's getting physical from that standpoint. Okay, that's great for his show, but hopefully, I said, Steve Austin will do that same kind of gesture on the Raw show, right? It would have been nice to see him stomp a mud hole and, do the Luthez press and all that other. Yeah, that would have been nice to see him do all of that stuff. But you know what? He served his purpose well. And hey, look, not for nothing. We got to see him one more time at the end of the night tonight, pretty much closing out Raw after what was honestly a really good tag team match. I mean, that was just freaking tag team galore. All of those damn bodies that was in there. Who were all in that one again? Your main event for tonight, it was basically the Viking Raiders. Viking Raiders had teamed up with Cedric Alexander. They also teamed up with Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, was it not? And I believe they had faced Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, OC, all three members of the OC. Yeah, so I mean, it was pretty much a 10-man tag team matchup that pretty much had happened. The babyfaces won. Steve Austin coming out, celebrating and bringing out his IPA. And you New Yorkers, I'm so jealous of you guys right now, because if I understand the news correctly, I believe it's getting ready to roll out, if not next week, then the following week. But New York is now going to be getting the Stone Cold Steve Austin IPA. I'm so jealous of you guys. I'm waiting patiently over here in DC to get the hookup. So you friends of mine in the New York area, I need you to give your man a solid over here, and I need you to try to hook me up with some Stone Cold IPA, man. I'm trying to taste it. I'm trying to review it. I love my IPAs. I've been a big fan of IPAs. Wherever I travel, I love finding out whatever is the best IPA that respected city, state has to offer, and drink it. So hook me up, you New Yorkers out there. Hook me up, man. I need the hookup. Yeah, very jealous of you guys. True story, I actually had tried to, and I did. I found one website a couple of weeks back. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin related, that said that they were selling his IPA and that they would ship it over here in the DC area. And I went on their website, put in my information, not my credit card information and all that, mind you. I didn't do that yet. I just pretty much had put the shit in the cart online and then tried to check out. And they were like, sorry, we don't deliver to your area. And I'm like, wait a minute. But you guys said here in the fine print that you do delivered to my area. So what's going on exactly? So I had emailed the company, the alcoholic company, and I said, hey, look, blah, 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 blah. Courtesy email would be nice. Let me know what's going on. They never emailed me back. So I just said, okay. All right. So obviously that was an error on their part. Okay. It is what it is. Glad I didn't cough up any money. So yeah, at this point, kind of like what Steve Austin and the company that makes his IPA have been saying for weeks, in case maybe you guys don't know, if you want to try to get that IPA in your area, the best thing you can do at this point, if you're tight with the people that run the liquor store, alcohol store that you normally frequent, you pretty much got to let them know what's up and see if they can put in an order and get some of that stuff to come in. That's really the only way you're going to be able to get it. But then even at that, how well it sells will ultimately determine if it's something that's going to continue to come back to your respected area. It's kind of like what went down. Y'all remember when Frito-Lay's had released those Doritos pouches? The pouches, they were basically, there was nuts in there. It was nuts, crunchy nuts, flavored nacho cheese like Doritos. You also had like some Dorito chips that were in there. It's been so long since I've had them. I can't remember everything that was in there, but they were like in these little pouches basically, and it cost about maybe, it started off at about 99 cents, but then eventually I think the price went up to like about $1.50. The point is, I remember when I had first saw them at Walmart. Me and the missus were shopping, and I was like, let me get like 2 of these, see how it is. I ended up liking this shit. And I said, wow, it's like, I got to get more of this. So every time we went grocery shopping for like the next 3 months, I would usually buy, I would say $20 worth of those things. So you do the math. If it's about $1.50, you do the math. But I would buy at least about 20 of those things. And I would usually one of those pouches would last me 2 days. Snack on it, breakfast, maybe lunch, maybe have a little bit, get home, right? Do it like that. But usually one pouch would last me for at least about 2 days. So every 2 days, I'd open up another one. And I love those things. I mean, I didn't feel bad either. Every single time we went grocery shopping, I would always buy them. And the tabs be like, oh man, you bought the last one. You're not going to leave one for somebody that's maybe looking for it? Well, they're shit out of luck. Fuck them. I could care less. It's all about me right now. And I just buy them up. I didn't care. And I did that in part because I liked the product so much, and I had hope that by me liking it the way that I did, that would maybe make other people that kind of liked it as well buy them up when they saw them. And then ultimately, okay, people like them, or at least, hey, at this store, people like them. We'll have it keep coming back at this store. But no, I would say we saw them probably for about, I think it lasted like maybe 4 months, and then it went away. And I haven't seen them since. Now, if they still sell those things, I'll rely on you guys. I'm not interested in buying them up again. But if they still sell them, I don't know anything about it. So tying it back to the Stone Cold Steve Austin beer, if you're able to get the hookup from your local alcohol store and they're willing to bring some stuff in, you got to make sure you tell your friends, network, power networking, social media, more people that can represent, buy the Stone Cold IPA, higher the odds that the shit's going to keep coming back to your respected area. But great opener to Raw. Loved how it had closed out and everything. We did see the King of the Ring tournament that had continued on. We had saw the triple threat match between Samoa Joe, Ricochet, Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin coming out of that. I gotta give WWE credit. I do like how they have protected Ricochet. I enjoyed that. It sucks that Samoa Joe had to be sacrificed there, kind of pulling a Avengers Endgame there a little bit, but when it's all said and done, the ends justify the means. And I know some people are going to kind of be like, man, it really would have been nice if it would have been Samoa Joe that would have. But, just for the sake of the argument, let's just say it would have been Samoa Joe that would have advanced. Now, it's safe to say that it's going to be Chad Gable that's going to advance from the SmackDown King of the Ring side of things. Because remember, on this week's SmackDown, it's going to be Chad Gable taking on Elias. So it's safe to say either way, Chad Gable should advance. But just imagine if it's Chad Gable and Samoa Joe for the King of the Ring final. I think under any other circumstance, yeah, you could probably put your money down on Samoa Joe being the King of the Ring finals guy, right? As far as, okay, can he really run with this? Yeah, I can legitimately see a Samoa Joe run with it. King Samoa Joe, yeah, King Joe, yeah, I think it would actually work out pretty well. He's already a damn good talker and everything. Yeah, I think it would work out very well. But it just really seems that the powers that be in WWE is really fixated right now on Baron Corbin and trying to figure out. Think about it. We had that honeymoon period there where for repeated months we had him in the title picture, or we had him on multiple episodes closing out Raw and all of that other shit to people's dismay rather, and they wanted to be done of Baron Corbin. You had the general manager run, all of that. So it's been a bit of an interesting. I think the way to best summarize it, what's been happening with Baron Corbin, they've pretty much just done a detour with him. It's almost like, okay, I want to go from A to B. Okay, sure, no problem. But we're going to do this scenic route along the way. We're still going to get you to B, but we're going to do this scenic route instead. And yeah, fans are going to think that, yeah, we're listening and we're scaling back and yada, yada, yada. But meanwhile, we're just going to plant these little seeds and eventually everything is going to come back to where we initially wanted to go. Right, and I didn't really see that many people hating on Baron Corbin tonight. I actually saw a lot of people tonight that were going, man, Baron Corbin, okay, King Corbin, King Baron. There was actually a lot more praise, and I think now people are really starting to see what me and others have been saying about Baron Corbin. He's really been putting it on heavy these past several months. I honestly would have to say he's really been taking it up another step. I would say within the past 7 months, give or take. But I mean, you just gotta appreciate that work, that dedication of him going in, night out, and trying to do his very best to perfect his craft and everything. So yeah, Baron Corbin advancing there from that King of the Ring semifinal side of things for Monday Night Raw. And as I mentioned a few seconds ago, it's going to be Chad Gable that's going to be facing Elias. Hey, would it be kind of cool if it was Elias taking on Baron Corbin? Yeah, that would be pretty interesting. But considering the traditional WWE logic, face, heel, two heels going at it for the title, that King of the Ring title doesn't really sound like. I mean, that'd be nice, but WWE's typical logic kind of indicates they usually don't like going in that respected direction. We had an awesome Firefly Funhouse segment. Try saying that 10 times fast. 10 times fast. We had a Firefly Funhouse segment with Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt pretty much reacting to the Stranger Danger. That's just so funny how all of his little mascots were just all chanting Stranger Danger. And you're like, what the hell is going on here? Basically acknowledging how Steve Austin has pretty much befriended Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, Cedric Alexander, and like what the hell's going on. And they basically were saying to Bray, hey, you should attack him. You should attack him. The Fiend should attack him, just like how the Fiend had attacked, these legends. And you're like, oh yeah. So it's kind of almost playing up on, I guess you could say, on some of what fans were saying on social media, because the fans sometimes they know how to stir things up on social media, and some of these wrestlers they know how to just take a little piece of crumb like that and pretty much run with it. And in this case, for his Funhouse segment, that's what Bray Wyatt did, and Bray Wyatt pretty much had said, no, I didn't attack any of those people. That was the Fiend. The Fiend had attacked those people. And I thought Bray Wyatt had the most coolest fucking line during that segment, which was basically, oh God, somebody help me out. What was the line that he said? He basically said something along the lines of strangers are friends that haven't met yet, or some shit like that, and you're going, God damn, that is some like Bruce Lee philosophical type of shit that Bray Wyatt just laid down there. Like that's some heavy shit. But basically he had said, Steve Austin, no problems with Steve Austin, but hey, you can't trust a rattlesnake. Always remember, can't trust a rattlesnake. So kind of like how he was doing it there with that Firefly segment. I thought it was pretty enjoyable, pretty solid tonight. I'm not gonna jump out there and say it was one of his best Firefly segments, although every time he says "see you in hell," I laugh my ass off hysterically. I love that, and I love the fact that by the time we do get to the Firefly segment, I love the fact that it's pretty much the 10 o'clock hour or whatever, and Bray Wyatt is just, all right, so now we can say "see you in hell" and all that other little crap. I like that. Nice little touch. A little bit somber though. Pretty much, I think, going from the late first hour, definitely going into the second hour, a little bit somber, but a little bit awe at the same time, because you had Roman Reigns come out. Roman Reigns did not see any in-ring action on tonight's Raw, but we did see Roman Reigns come out and pretty much had talked about how when he came back from, his cancer, basically coming back, if you will, talking about how he wanted to get it in remission, and when he came back he wanted to be a force of positivity. He wanted to do everything in his power to change the world, really make a difference and everything. And he has been very, very hands-on in this year's Connor's Cure, and he had introduced a number of kids tonight that came on stage with him. All of these kids pretty much came born and raised, living in the New York, New Jersey area. And it was nice before Roman Reigns had brought out the kids that I should definitely stress how the fans were very receptive to Roman Reigns. I didn't hear any heckling that was going on. There was nothing but respect shown towards him, applause towards him, cheers towards him, and you're going, wow. Just think about that for a second. Rewind it back X amount of months ago, before the announcement was made, and Roman Reigns coming through the New York, New Jersey area. Oh man, you just swore he did something just freaking foul, right? I mean, he had that go away heat, basically, right? Get off the TV, man. Like seriously, just go already. We don't want to see you anymore. We're tired of you. Like, take a fucking leave of absence, why don't you? But then again, we still ain't gonna like you if you come back. Just stay gone for good. It was that type of go away heat. So to fast forward all this time later and pretty much be in an area where many times he's been booed out of the fucking arena. Yeah, it's just a telling tale night and day as far as where he is now versus where he was prior. And a really nice moment. You really couldn't crap on that whatsoever. You really couldn't. Saw a cool commercial for Comcast Xfinity. I don't know how many of you guys had caught this, and it makes a lot of sense when you stop and think about the fact that, oh, we got WWE superstars doing a Xfinity commercial. Okay, a Comcast Xfinity commercial. Interesting. If you guys cannot connect the dots, I'll help you out in a second. But basically, we saw a Xfinity commercial with AJ Styles, Alexa Bliss, Finn Balor. They all were pretty much playing video games in different rooms of the same house. And then I guess when they got done playing together, they all pretty much had met up in the living room, only to pick up some controllers, and now they're all playing, I guess, together on another game or whatever. It was weird. I get it, because one could kind of poke holes at that commercial and be like, but we get it, okay? So if that commercial seemed a little bit odd to you as far as why are we getting these WWE superstars for a Comcast commercial, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That is because Comcast Xfinity is a parent company that's basically under NBC Universal when it's all said and done. So that's the connection. So I mean, that's a nice little PR move that WWE was able to get for their WWE stars. I think that's really cool. So, my how the times have changed, huh? Yeah, I think that's pretty cool how they did that. Great tag team matchup. Look, man, I can't talk about that whole plug-in of the Selena Majors interview from Wow Women of Wrestling without giving mad props to my girls tonight in Sasha Banks, Bailey, Charlotte, Becky Lynch. Great tag team match that these girls had tonight. The New York crowd was really eating this up. Now, I don't think that as far as the pace of the match goes, I don't think it was too slow at all. I thought the pace was just right. It played out, it felt like during the course of maybe 3 segments, but don't quote me on that. I know 2 segments for sure, so I remember there being 2 commercial breaks. If it went to a third segment, I kind of don't really remember, but there was enough time to be told for this match. It was kind of lengthy. I didn't like how at one point one of the fans had chanted CM Punk. Obviously, that idiotic fan was somebody that did not see the CM Punk interview from Starcast. Get caught up to speed, buddy. Yeah. Dummy. Yeah. But and I say that with love and affection. I really do, because now I'm honestly at the point where when I hear people chant the whole CM Punk stuff, it's like, are you really that fucking caught up in the past that you can't focus on the present? Like, how much more does this man have to say and or do to let you know he's not interested in coming back there to that company anymore? So, somebody hook him up, give him a Starcast pass or whatever, and let him see that CM Punk interview, and maybe that'll get him and a couple other knuckleheads that was in the crowd tonight chanting the whole CM Punk. I didn't particularly care for it, rubbed me the wrong way. I was glad it really didn't pick up steam, because it sounded like it was maybe about 5 knuckleheads that were chanting that just happened to be a little bit pretty close to the hard camera and all that. But yeah, great tag team matchup though. Loved it tremendously. The girls, they lit it up. That was one of all the matches tonight. That one stood out to me the most. That I would say, for those of you that did not check out Raw yet, go out of your way, check that match out. That match, so damn good. I just went, after the match was over, I went, and then that was damn, that was good. It's kind of like biting into, god damn, that's really fucking good. We're talking about food, might as well go into it. Wasn't going to bring it up, but for those of you that have not tried Burger King's Impossible Whopper, like that tag team match, let me tell you, I've had some veggie burgers in my time. I've had some plant-based burgers in my time, and it tasted horrible. The closest thing I would even eat when I would be in a veggie mode would be veggie burgers from Genie O, the Genie O brand. And, they're okay. You season it up a little bit, put some mayo, ketchup, all that. It's good. The Impossible Whopper from Burger King, though, I didn't notice a goddamn thing. Decided to have a little bit of dinner tonight. Didn't feel like cooking, so I said to the missus, I said, "Hey, let's go to Burger King. I want to try that Impossible Whopper. Been talking about that damn thing since it went nationwide a couple of weeks ago. So we finally went, and I forgot the burger she had got, but we take it. We're at the house. I bite into the burger, and I just go, And she goes, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's a damn good burger. And I actually had her try a piece, and she's like, "Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a nice go-to for, if you don't want to taste the grease, you don't want to feel guilty." I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Can you taste the difference?" Because she actually was eating a real burger. I said, "Can you taste the difference?" She goes, "Yeah, I can actually taste a little bit of the difference." I'm like, "Where do you taste the difference?" I kind of taste just a tiny little bit of grease in the actual burger, the texture, but it's faint. It's very faint, what they did with the Impossible Whopper, very, very good. Now, I want to put an asterisk by that Impossible Whopper and give you guys the most important heads up. Be prepared to fork up a decent amount of money for that Impossible Whopper. I bullshit you not. So, check this out. You tell me if this sounds weird at all, okay? And we checked the receipt to make sure it was accurate. So basically, an Impossible Whopper, just a sandwich. And then you get the, I think she had a bacon cheeseburger meal. All right, medium, okay? So she got that, medium fries, medium drink. All right? And then there was a crispy chicken sandwich. I got that pretty much so I can have for lunch tomorrow, right? And before anybody goes, I don't eat as much as I used to. And if you notice, I've been kind of slimming down a lot. So even when it comes to takeout food, what I usually do, like I did tonight, I usually just eat half of a sandwich and then I have the other half the next day. You know, whether it be at work or maybe when I get home. That's just how I pretty much do it now. I really don't have that much of an appetite. I actually these days have to force feed myself due to my aligners and everything, you know, my Invisalign aligners. So, you know, that's how I roll. So I got all of those things and it basically came to $30. So my point is, if you're going to get that Impossible Whopper, I mean, we sat there and we're like, what the fuck? Like, what did we do wrong? We started adding it up. And we were able to establish we never did see a price for the Impossible Whopper sandwich. So we're under the impression that the sandwich, it's got to be maybe, at least in these parts, maybe it's different at you all's neck of the woods, but I think it's safe to say over here, I think just the burger itself is probably running like fucking $11, maybe $12. Yeah. So I need for the fucking grocery store chains ASAP to work with the Impossible Company and make those burger patties be available in the store so we can all bypass those motherfuckers altogether. But yeah, overall tonight, really solid episode of Raw, getting back on track. So again, now you kind of, when I say with that tag match, you know, with the Whopper, now you know the connection. One other thing that was of interest, kind of a no-brainer, but, you know, we kind of talked about it earlier. For those of you that may be a little bit curious about, wait a minute, Rude, Ziggler teaming up with the OC, like, you know, basically kind of follows up to what had happened a couple of weeks ago when they last had kind of crossed paths and there was a little bit of mutual respect, you know, among each other. Basically the OC has kind of extended the family a little bit, if you will. So I like these interactions that's happening with the OC, Rude and Ziggler, but then when you flip it and you see that Cedric Alexander, the Viking Raiders, you know, they're getting ultimately the rub off from Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, and aligning themselves with them, getting a good rub off, particularly the Viking Raiders, because they were just, you know, so flatlined for so long that now it's okay. All right, this is actually, now that's a good thing. Cedric Alexander, okay, that's a great thing. So I love seeing what's going on with all of these personalities interacting with each other. It's almost a nice throwback to, you know, how when I was growing up as a kid watching some other wrestling territories and, hey, what's this person doing? Well, obviously they couldn't stand what they were seeing in the back and they decided they wanted to act. I like how all of this is just intertwining with each other, and it's going to make for great programming in the coming weeks when it's all said and done. I want to take this time out, thank those of you that's checking out the show right now. You're checking out the RCWR Show. We are coming at you for September 9th. Well, now going on September 10th, 2019. Hey, let's get into some shout-outs, man. Got some shout-outs we need to get into. A couple of Patreon shout-outs. Also got some sponsors, all that good stuff. Got some new affiliates that we're going to be working with for the next several weeks. We definitely want to welcome on board into the family. Let's get into some Patreon shout-outs first. And remember, you want some really awesome content to check out, $5 a month. That's all you got to spare. $5 a month. You get to check out bonus audio, video content, great majority not shared anywhere else, exclusively to Patreon. You want to get a hold of interviews days before it's released to the general public, original, uncensored, uncut, all that good stuff. New original content, patreon.com/RCWR Show. Again, patreon.com/RCWR Show. Shout out to Patreon members John Krauser. And special shout out to John Krauser. John Krauser is going to be performing this September at the Second City Theater for his Brain Freak live show. All you got to do in a Bing or Google search is type in John Krauser, that's spelled Krauser, and then Second City. In a Bing or Google search, type in John Krauser, Second City. It's the first link that you come across. And I'm telling you, man, the prices, you can't beat them. Now, the show, Brain Freak Live, it's a comedy show. He's pretty much going to be doing it in Chicago, Illinois. So for those of you that are going to be in the Chicago area this month in September, pretty much every weekend in September, he's going to be doing these shows. His first one is going to be coming up this Friday, September the 13th. Then afterwards, it'll be next Friday, September 20th, the following Friday, September 27th, and then wrapping up on Friday, October the 4th, same time at 7:30 p.m. It's going to be at Judy's Beat Lounge on the second floor at 230 West North Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. Great freaking prices. You can't beat them. $13 standard, $11 if you're a college student. Make sure you have that valid ID with you. $7 if you're an SC Training Center student. Again, more information, just type in John Krauser, Bing, Google search, Second City, and it's the first link you'll come across. Check him out. Great shit. Great. Love what he's doing, man. Love what he's doing. Also, shout out to Justin Rabach, Sean Kenter, my good friend Tony Bing Gaming. If you love all things Marvel, Strike Force, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, the upcoming MOBA game, Marvel Secret Wars, Super Wars, check that out. Tony Bing Gaming has got a great YouTube channel, news, reviews, nice little tutorials, whole 9 yards. He's got a Patreon as well. Shout out to Freddie, Michael Wolf, John Davis, my good friend Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup, and Joe Raymond Jr. We got two new sponsors that we want to tell you about. So you lovely ladies out there, listen up. And for you fellas that got them lovely ladies, make sure you listen up. Pass along this awesome information to them. Tonight's episode of the RCWR Show is being brought to you by Sheabu.com. That's spelled SHEABU. Sheabu.com. Sheabu Natural Cosmetics. They have a cool website. And when it comes to the very best in natural skin and hair products, these are the guys you should be coming to. All of their products are made here in America. They are based out in New York. Okay, you want American? Doesn't get any American than this as far as showing your ultimate support to a company. All the ingredients that they use, vegan oils, herbs, everything is natural, all natural preservatives, no filters, no artificial additives, none of that. Check them out, Sheabu.com. Once again, Sheabu.com. Appreciate having these guys on. You can find them at their website at Sheabu.com. They're all throughout social media as well. You want to find them on social media, just type in Sheabu Natural Cosmetics. Appreciate working with them for the next couple of weeks. Also, tonight's edition of the RCWR Show is brought to you by NationalToyStores.com. NationalToyStores.com, where they want to make toys great again. And I tell you, I really like some of the great toy selections that they have. I'm seeing a couple of really cool gift ideas, some that I want to get for my godson Trent, because he has a birthday coming up. Keep them in mind. They offer some really cool toys, and I sincerely mean that. There are toys that I'm seeing from them that I plan on getting in the next couple of weeks. It's never too early to begin your Christmas shopping anyway, as far as I'm concerned. But check them out at nationaltoystores.com. Once again, National Toy Store. Wait a minute now. You guys are giving me two links here. They gave me two links here. I have one that is nationaltoystores.com, and then I'm seeing another one that is nationaltoystore.com. So before you type their site in, let's first make sure that we're giving you the right URL. And I don't think so, Tim. Let's try the one that doesn't have the plural here. See, try without the plural. That's not really coming up. So let's try this one. Yeah, so right now, either link, you can either go with nationaltoystores.com or you can go with nationaltoystore.com. Bookmark that website because it looks like right now, no matter which link you go with, it looks like their site is under construction. And according to my notes with regards to promoting them for tonight, they didn't mention anything about the site's going to be down. So maybe it happens once in a while. I know I tend to do that myself without making any announcements. Sometimes if I need to do some updates to the websites, which reminds me, in a couple of weeks, I'm definitely going to be revamping the website. There was one domain I actually had bought for the show a couple of months back, and I've just been tweaking behind the scenes, making the full migration for the content at the old website to the new website. And I'm hoping to finally launch it in the coming weeks. Might come a lot sooner than you all think. But yeah, like me, sometimes when I want to work on the site, I'll usually just go in maintenance mode, do what I need to do. And I usually don't have a timetable on when I'm going to be taking the maintenance mode off. So bookmark them though. You can either do nationaltoystores.com or you can do nationaltoystore.com. Again, nationaltoystores.com or nationaltoystore.com. But when the link was valid and I was able to see what they had, I actually had like some of the stuff that they had, and I was like, okay, got a couple of gift ideas. I actually had like some of the prices I had saw. So all right, appreciate all of these guys, sponsors and Patreon members that we're working with here for the next little bit. And see, let's continue on here. We've got some wrestling news we could definitely get into now for the next little bit that we're going to be on the air. We only got a couple more topics to dive into, and then pretty much it'll wrap up our webcast edition version of the RCWR show. There's a lot more content we'll be getting into for on demand and on the downloads, because we do appreciate those of you that continue to support the show on demand and on the downloads. So look, I guess on that note, we can go ahead and we can go into the WWE Clash of Champions pay-per-view card, and we can preview that, offer up some picks and everything. So we've got Clash of Champions that's going to be happening this Sunday on the WWE Network, also on your respective cable satellite providers. This Sunday, September the 15th, going to be coming to us from the Spectrum Center in North Carolina. This is your card right now as it stands. And yes, folks, we will be live Sunday night as soon as Clash of Champions wraps up. We'll be live with a special RCWR post show. But we got 11 matches as it stands right now. Yes, folks, you heard me right. 11 matches for Clash of Champions. We've got Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross taking on Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. It's a tag team match for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Man, I love Sonya Deville. I love Mandy Rose. And honestly, the way I was kind of figuring things were going to play out initially, I thought for sure that Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville were going to get those women tag titles off of the Iconics, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, but it sadly didn't play out that way. Now, that's not really throwing any shade on Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. It's just that Mandy and Sonya I've been more invested in within the past several months, whereas Bliss and Cross were still kind of, I'm still not quite all in on that team just yet. I'm just not. They're both good. Don't get me wrong now. Don't get me wrong. Don't get my words twisted. They're very talented as hell. They're both very cute and everything. But yeah, it's just not clicking for me. So whereas Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, that has been clicking very well for me. And no, not because of the whole lesbian angle tease kind of aspect. Just honestly in general, just feels like Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville flow chemistry wise. They click better than Alexa and Nikki, right? But keeping all of what I just said in mind, I don't really see any reason why Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville would become all of a sudden women's tag champions. I'm just not seeing that coming about. So I'm seeing Bliss and Nikki Cross holding on to those women tag titles a bit longer. So those are the ones I'm going to go with. Roman Reigns takes on Eric Rowan. This is interesting because when you look at this card, you can't help but wonder, well, how much of a factor is Daniel Bryan going to play into this match, if at all, right? And we still haven't seen SmackDown yet. So, exactly, if I were to kind of make a little bit of a bold prediction, so to speak, I kind of feel as though Daniel Bryan may want to somehow inject himself into Roman Reigns taking on Eric Rowan at Clash of Champions. That basically Daniel Bryan is going to want to get some type of freaking retribution for Eric Rowan manhandling him on SmackDown from last week. So I'm kind of picturing a scenario coming about where maybe Daniel Bryan uses his Shane McMahon card, if you will, from back when he was what was he, a general manager or whatever, and I think Shane McMahon was the commissioner of SmackDown. Just kind of have this feeling that Daniel Bryan is maybe going to talk to Shane, ask for a favor, and Daniel Bryan is basically going to get announced as the special guest referee for Eric Rowan taking on Roman Reigns. That's how I basically would book it. And so you're kind of going, oh man, so it looks like Eric Rowan is going to be a one man, is going to be a one man act in a handicap match, because he's got no chance in this one legged ass kicking contest, basically. And you basically do a swerve at the pay per view, and Eric Rowan, with help from Daniel Bryan, basically puts the screws to Roman Reigns. I just, if I'm setting this up, if I'm writing it, that's kind of like the direction I would go. Now, some people may say, well, that's a little bit too predictable, because if you reveal that Daniel Bryan is going to be the special guest referee, aren't you kind of making it clear cut that maybe Daniel Bryan is going to do something? Yeah, that's true. Okay, so then how would you counter? Would you maybe have Daniel Bryan come at ringside and, just when it's kind of... See, but that's the thing. If you have the match set up in a way where at one point Eric Rowan doesn't want any more of Roman Reigns, and then he rolls out, are you really going to bring Daniel Bryan now, as shorty as he is, to try to, somehow intimidate Eric Rowan into turning right back around and fighting Roman Reigns? I'm just, like, realistically, I'm just not really seeing that. It's got to be under the right type of setting, like maybe at a point where Eric Rowan bit off so much more than he can chew, where he is just physically exhausted, physically drained. I mean, he is just getting his ass beat big time by Roman Reigns, and he's pretty much outside of the ring on his knees, and maybe it's a scenario like that, and then you have Daniel Bryan come out and he's kind of like, oh, please, maybe if you kind of do it like that, but you got to already have Eric Rowan be in a weakened state. You can't have him still relatively strong, spine is still standing straight up and tall, chest is all nice and pouty, angry face and all. You can't have him just, I'm done with this crap. And I don't know why I made him sound like Braun Strowman just now. You got to forgive me, but you can't have him, basically roll out like that. You got to have him in some type of a weakened state. But no matter how you pan it out, I'm still seeing some type of screws being put to Roman Reigns when it's all said and done. So how am I looking at this? What would appear to be a clear cut, Roman Reigns, I'm not seeing that way. I'm going to say Eric Rowan is going to get the W. He's going to get that W with help from his boy Daniel Bryan. What I've been saying the past couple of weeks, Daniel Bryan basically, it's me all along, it's me, Austin, damn it. Yeah, that's the route I'm going. Next up, Becky Lynch takes on Sasha Banks singles match for the Raw Women's Championship. Oh, man. See, here's the thing. How much of a factor is Bayley, if at all, gonna have in this match? And then when you go to Bayley defending her title against Charlotte Flair, how much of a factor will freaking Sasha be in that match? And like how much of a, so that's where you have a little bit of an interesting dilemma. And I think the way that you can kind of get things resolved, if I'm booking this, you set up Tuesday SmackDown. And basically at one point you have Charlotte Flair maybe one more time cross paths with and I really wish they would have established it tonight on Raw, but I hope since it's still going to be at MSG, I hope they can somehow have Charlotte Flair cross paths with Becky Lynch. And you don't have to have it play out in the ring. The way you do it, you have Charlotte Flair backstage segment. She's walking around, and basically one of the producers in a suit come up to her and say, hey, Charlotte, your guest is waiting for you in your dressing room. And you can have Corey Graves in the game say, oh, who's the guest? Who is it that Charlotte is getting ready to see? Well, we'll find out next. Take your commercial break or whatever. Go to your next match. Play that out. Excuse me. Then you follow Charlotte backstage. She goes into her dressing room. Boom. It's Becky Lynch. Becky's like, hey, got your message. Normally I don't give two rats, so, whatever you have to say, but, you said it was something that was going to be music to my ears. You said this was going to be something that was going to be of great interest to me, so what do you have? You got 5 minutes. Give me your best shot. Hopefully you're not wasting my time. And Charlotte can just basically say, hey, look, you got your title that you need to defend. And obviously, I'm going to be doing my thing for a championship opportunity. I'm just hoping that when we go into Sunday, maybe you and me could form an alliance. I'll have your back. You have my back. That way, any type of fuckery that goes down, it ain't going to happen because we're both going to have each other's back and we'll be able to negate it. No freaking problem. So when it's all said and done, they'll have each other's backs. So if you play it out just like that, then the matches make sense for it to happen, and you don't have to necessarily be like, well, what about the interference? Well, hey, according to what we saw on SmackDown, push come to shove, this is what's going to happen, right? Because they really didn't establish on Raw tonight, what we saw with the alliances, it was just a one-off deal. So you can easily follow up on Tuesday SmackDown. So kind of keeping that in mind, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Raw Women's title. I still feel there's stock in Becky Lynch, guys. I know her reign has been a little bit lackluster so far, but having her recently showing up on an episode of Straight Up Steve Austin, what did she grace the cover of now? Because Cole in the game, they were just doing so much shameless fucking plugging. Actually, I ended up putting them on, putting them on mute. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole lot of fucking PR blitz modes that's going on with Becky Lynch right now. So I'm not seeing Becky Lynch relinquishing that title just yet, guys. I know some of you may really, really want for there to be a title change for that particular title, but I'm not seeing it at Clash of Champions. I got Becky Lynch still your champion. Shinsuke Nakamura. We actually, you know what? Before we go to Shinsuke Nakamura, we were talking about the other women's match. Let's jump to that one. So Bayley takes on Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's title. Oh, you see, part of me kind of feels that the Bailey experiment, but I'm liking this new layer, and I kind of want to play around in that layer just a little bit longer from what I'm seeing here. I like the little bit of a mean streak that Bailey had put out on display basically last week and everything, Raw and SmackDown. Man, did she get her some Charlotte last week? I enjoyed seeing that. I think if there's one thing I'm going to be looking for from this match is the continuing unpeeling of the new Bailey demeanor. So it makes a lot of sense for me to, if you really want to get people talking and you really want to kind of shake things up a little bit with Bailey, why not kind of go in a direction where, oh man, we saw Bailey do something that's very uncharacteristic of her since we've been watching her here on the main roster. We didn't even see her operate this way when she was down in NXT. And honestly, I'd like to see Bailey go low. I like to see her go low and dirty to retain that title, right? Since she's talking about how, nah, because of women like Charlotte, I'm trying to make SmackDown and this title, relevant again. And, I'm trying to give you guys a good champion. Okay, well, there's also ways that you can have there be the type, and I think this is the path that the writers are trying to have Bailey go down, which is, okay, so I told you guys what type of champion I was trying to be. I tried to justify to you guys why I took these actions that I had took, and yet you vilify me. Yet you condemn me. I do everything I can to please you people, and basically she's all about the kids, right? You've seen the meme that's been going around with Bailey, basically, throwing up two middle fingers and it says fuck these kids, right? So I would kind of like to see a scenario where basically, Bailey just goes even more low and dirty, really questionable tactics, and you're going, wow, what turned out to be a really great match. It looked like Charlotte was maybe going to be a 9-time women's champion, but somehow Bailey, hook, crook, all the shenanigans, basically retains the title that way. I would like to see something like that come about in setting her up for the next batch of weeks of SmackDown going into the next pay-per-view. That way you can, if you want, have Charlotte continue to say, hey, you ain't beat me fair and square. So technically Charlotte is kind of justified in her actions, and it's kind of weird what's going on with the whole Charlotte Bailey dynamic when you really stop and think about it there. So, but that's what I would be particularly looking for. But when it's all said and done, Bailey retains the SmackDown Women's Championship. Next matchup, let's go. Shinsuke Nakamura taking on The Miz, Intercontinental title. I gotta go with Nakamura. Come on. Also, what's my man's name? Sami Zayn. It's been a nice, interesting alliance there going on with them. I'm not seeing any type of a title change with that one. New Day's Big E, and Xavier Woods take on the Revival. Tag team match for the SmackDown tag titles. New Day. I'll go with New Day. Drew Gulak defends his Cruiserweight Championship against Carrillo and Lince Dorado. Still pretty high on Drew Gulak. I'm going to go with Drew. Kofi Kingston takes on Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. And this is pretty much it, right? Because SmackDown makes the move to Fox in October, right? So, interesting. I'm gonna go with the babyface getting the retribution. Getting that retribution he so feels he rightfully deserves. That's been due to him for many years now, right? Trying to correct something, make right what was once wrong, as the saying goes. So I'm seeing Kofi Kingston come out of that, still your WWE champion. Seth Rollins takes on Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship. Nobody wins. Nobody wins. I see the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, making an appearance. Nobody wins. And pretty much, if the reports are true that you're then going to go into a triple threat match, what's the next pay-per-view? Hell in a Cell. Maybe you can kind of go in that respected direction. But then again, do you really want to have all three of those guys for your Hell in a Cell? It's all about selling at the gates, right? It's all about those tickets, all about them draws and all that. All about them draws. Not them kind of draws, but you know what I mean. You gotta bust out the Fiend. You do. You gotta bust out the Fiend. We ain't seen the Fiend the past couple of weeks on Raw. So I kind of have a feeling Fiend's gonna make an appearance, and it just kind of feels. All right, I'll tell you what. I tell you what. One thing I'm certain, Seth is still going to have the championship. What I'm not certain of is if it's going to be due to DQ because of the Fiend, or if Seth will somehow overcome the odds, defeat Braun, but then still Fiend makes his presence felt. I think either way, Fiend is going to make his presence felt. That's just the way I'm seeing it, but I got Rollins still holding that title. Then you got Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman defending the tag titles against Rude and Ziggler. Nowhere on this card do I see AJ Styles. Do I see the OC? So following up on what happened tonight on Raw, how much of a factor are they going to play? And with the alliances that was established tonight, I mean, it'd be really silly, don't you think, that you not have AJ and Gallows and Anderson make their presence felt, right? So I'm kind of seeing a case coming about where they're definitely going to help out. Or, of course, then you got to somehow bring in Cedric Alexander, right? And then also, not on this card are the Viking Raiders. So you also got to somehow get the Viking Raiders in there as well. But the question becomes, does Rude and Ziggler become tag champions as a result? Yes. I'm going to say Rude and Ziggler become your new Raw tag champions. Thanks to that alliance that they have. I can see a big clusterfuck thing going on, but ultimately, OC, that alliance there with Ziggler and Rude, I can definitely see all of that playing out. Bayley, Charlotte, we covered that. Baron Corbin, Chad Gable, or Elias, King of the Ring finals. Baron Corbin. Doesn't even matter to me who it's going to be. If I were to give who I think is going to win, I think I already touched base on that already. I think I said Chad Gable is going to win the SmackDown side for the King of the Ring finals to advance. King Corbin, where's your crown? Cue a little Metallica. Where's your crown, King Corbin? I know that's not how the song goes, but in this case, I'm changing the lyrics to that. All right, so a quick rundown one more time. I've got Alexa and Cross retaining the women's tag titles. Eric Rowan defeats Roman Reigns, somehow with help from Daniel Bryan. Becky retains the Raw Women's title over Sasha Banks. Nakamura retains the IC title over The Miz. New Day retains the SmackDown tag titles over The Revival. Drew Gulak retains his Cruiserweight title against Carrillo and Dorado. Kofi retains his WWE title. Seth Rollins retains his Universal title. Look for a Fiend appearance. Rude, Ziggler become new Raw Tag Champions. Charlotte retains her SmackDown title. Going dirty there. Corbin becomes your new King of the Ring finals or 2019 winner, basically. So that's how I'm kind of panning it out there for the Clash of Champions pay-per-view event. And like I said a few minutes ago, we'll definitely be live when that event is over, covering fallout from it. It should be fantastic. We'll be streaming that live on YouTube. We'll also be streaming it in the Discord chat. great avenues that we'll be streaming it. All right. Okay. So on that note, see if there's a couple more topics we can get into. Let me see how we're doing on Showtime here. So we've got about, I'm seeing we've been on now for about an hour, 19 minutes. So I can definitely cover about 10 more minutes. Yeah, we'll stay on the air for about 10 more minutes, but I'm definitely going to do a hard stop at the 90-minute mark, and we'll pretty much have some additional content that we'll cover for on demand and on the download. So if you haven't shown your love and support for the show, particularly on demand and on the downloads, please do so, because weekly we try to include at least 25 to 30 minutes of bonus audio content for you guys. So want to just give a quick, this is major news right here too. When I had heard this news, I had a smile on my face, but I know a lot of people are going to be a bit concerned about, okay, well, yeah, that's great and all, but what does it mean for the programming? So in case you guys had missed it, Impact Wrestling, they had made news. Their parent company, Anthem, has purchased majority interest in Access TV. And if you guys recall, we have been hearing for some months now that Anthem was very interested in somehow purchasing Access TV. And, you know, when you really stop and you look at everything under the Anthem company, the Anthem Entertainment Company, everything that they are associated with, their whole portfolio, as far as entertainment goes, music, festivals, all of that type of stuff, for them to, can we do something with Access TV? It's actually right up their alley. It is a smart business move on so many levels, right? Not to mention to be able to take Impact Wrestling and get it off of the Pursuit channel, a channel which a vast majority of households do not receive. I mean, it's barely 30 million households. Now, some people would say, oh, well, that's a decent amount. Well, it depends, because if you have the cable satellite provider where basically you got to pay an additional $12 to $15 for an extra sports package just so you'd be able to watch that one particular channel that has your wrestling, you're not really going to be interested in forking that up. Now, look, to each its own. But I can tell you guys, for me, I'm with Verizon Fios, and my cable internet bill every single month, and I just recently got it negotiated down, but it's still a pretty amount. I'm paying at least $200 monthly for my cable internet package. $200 monthly. Okay? Heaven forbid if AEW decides, we're going to do a pay-per-view. Well, that's a whopping $50 I'm losing right there. Okay? So then it becomes $250, right? Hey, what if there's a movie or two I want to check? So, I mean, it can easily blossom to $300 without really paying attention to it, right? Ordering stuff here, ordering stuff there. So if it means taking Impact Wrestling off of the Pursuit channel, and it's helping ultimately fans save on that $11 to $15 they had to spend for a package they honestly did not need, did not want, just so they could watch that one channel that has Impact Wrestling, then great. Okay. Also, if it means that fans aren't gonna have to sit and watch Impact on Twitch, no disrespect to the Twitch and all that, but you know, Twitch has had a few hiccups here and there. It's made the news in a negatively funny way at the same time. But, you know, not everybody wants to be tied down to a Twitch stream on a Friday night, when really Friday night, yeah, I'd rather just watch Impact Wrestling when it's recorded on my DVR, come back that way. That's usually how most people will do some of their wrestling shows, particularly when you jump to a Friday night. Basically, you're going into a weekend. Okay, so if it means ultimately you're going to be able to put it on a channel that a lot of households get, and that's the thing, I don't know how many of you all realize this, but Access TV currently is accessed by at least over 100 million households. Over 100 million households have Access TV. And here's the cool part. You don't need to pay extra just to get Access TV. you probably have Access TV and don't even realize it. All you got to do is just look up whoever your respected cable satellite provider is. I mean, worst case scenario is if you don't live in North America or maybe in Canada, and then it might be a little bit difficult for you. But if you're in North America and Canada, you've got access to it. All right, there's like no fucking, and the lineups on there, it's awesome. Me and Mish, we were watching the WoW season 2 premiere on Access TV. And by the way, we are going to be recording a WoW after show. We're going to be doing it, I believe, this Tuesday night, because we were kind of talking about it earlier. So for you guys that's kind of wondering, hey, where's the WoW recap? It is coming up. We're going to do something for you guys this Tuesday. And, as I was watching it on my end, I was amazed at the amount of cool programming that they got coming up as far as the new shows go. Y'all remember Paul Schaefer, longtime sidekick, band leader for the orchestra for the David Letterman show and all that. Well, he's got a show that's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks on Access TV where he's just going one-on-one with different artists. He's going to be talking to Joe Walsh from the Eagles. All types of really cool guests is going to be stopping by there. They're just shooting the shit, playing a little bit of music, improv and all that. So it's really good. You also got my man Eddie Trunk. Love Eddie Trunk from that metal show on VH1 Classic. He's got his Eddie Trunk, his little Trunk Fest show. People that he's interviewing. You've got Brian Johnson from AC/DC. He's talking to various musicians while he's on the road. One of the first guests that's lined up is Robert Plant. I love Robert Plant. So that's going to be an awesome show. There's some girl that has a rock and roll countdown. I can't think of her name right now. I usually don't particularly care for her because it looks like she was mainly a pop type of VJ celebrity and all that. And now it's like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to listen to her for my rock. It's I kind of want somebody else. Like, give me God, what was that dude's name? What was that dude's name that used to be on VH1 Classic? And he used to host that metal, not that metal show with Eddie Trunk, but there was a metal show that would come on for about an hour. His name was Kane. And for a whole hour, he would host rock music videos. And I think it was called Classic. Was it called? No, I don't think it was called Classic Rock. I can't remember the name of the damn show, but there was a guy named Kane. He had blonde, spiky hair. Used to wear, skull jewelry, chain, and all that cool shit. Real cool fucking dude. True story. And you can actually probably find the episodes on YouTube or whatnot. But there's actually one episode of that show. It's going to bother me now. The thing is, as soon as we go off the air, I'm going to remember what the fuck the name of that show was. But true story, I actually had wrote to Kane on that show. And there was one day, I think he had came to DC to cover a particular event. I want to say, I know he was on location somewhere. And I remember he was sitting on the grass and he was reading the letters. And there was one letter that he read from me. I had it on VHS. Yes, we recorded on VHS, folks. Yes, showing my age a little bit. But I had basically sent Kane, and I want to say the name of the show was Rock Show. I wrote to him wondering what was the status of Alice in Chains. And this was long before Langston Lee had passed away. Basically, I had heard rumblings that maybe he was trying to reform with Mad Season. I was also commenting about, what was going on with some of the footage that was used in the Get Born Again video. If you guys remember, that was like that song was one of the last songs that was produced, one of two last songs that was produced with Langston Lee as far as new Alice in Chains material goes with Lane as the vocalist. It was that song, Get Born Again, also Died. And if you remember the music video for Get Born Again, badass, sick fucking video. It was nominated for an award, visual and all that. I think it got nominated for a Grammy too for best hard rock song and all that as well. And I was curious what was going on with some of the scenes that were shown in the video, because I heard rumblings that what they were using was stockpile footage from previous Alice in Chains videos. And so Kane had answered all of my questions. It wasn't a long-winded, it was just pretty much like two questions, and I pretty much was trying to give him examples. And Kane was really cool with reading the letter. And after he got done addressing it, he was like, okay, well, Lee, here you go, man. I know you love your Alice in Chains, so here's your song. Here's "Get Born Again," Alice in Chains. And I was so pumped. I remember I took that to school after that weekend. I took it to school that Monday, and I showed all my friends the fucking video and everything. And I was like, look, it's like I made it on that rock show. And it's a cool fucking moment. It's a cool fucking moment for me. I had loved it, man. I had loved it. How the fuck did we were talking about Access TV. So yeah, I mean, Access TV, as far as like the rock shows go, they got so much really fun, cool stuff that you can check out. They also got live concerts. They also have movies that's tied around music. So maybe you'll see Purple Rain. Maybe you'll see, that Rolling Stones movie, or maybe you'll see The Who, you name it, right? So for Anthem to have this type of interest and impact and be able to go in this direction, I think it's great for them. Now, look, on top of them purchasing majority interest in Access TV, Steve Harvey is on Anthem's board as well. So, I mean, this is great freaking news. So, I mean, for those of you that's wondering, well, wait a minute, what's going to happen respectfully to Mark Cuban and his respected company? Well, what's going on here? Mark Cuban, his company, they are still tied to this. Mark Cuban still has a seat on the board for everything. So, I think everything is going to remain intact when it's all said and done. But, when you look at the numbers as far as the potential amount of viewership that Impact Wrestling is going to be able to tap into, this is a win-win situation for wrestling fans. It's definitely a win for Anthem. It's definitely a win, for Access TV overall as a whole as well. Because, I mean, just really stop and think about that. As it stands right now, you get New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is doing phenomenal, numbers wise. You get WOW, which did phenomenally so well. It did better numbers than New Japan last season, that now when you go to Saturday nights, it's the lead dog that basically sets up the Saturday night action of wrestling, where your new episodes of New Japan follows after WOW. So how about that? It wasn't like that before. It was the other way around last season. But yeah, Steve Harvey is on board here. He joined Anthem as an investor and a strategic partner through his Steve Harvey Global Production Company, and he has a seat on the Anthem board. So now the question becomes, okay, so what's going to happen with Impact Wrestling as far as when are they going to be making this move to Access TV? I would like to believe before the year is out, they're going to go ahead and they're going to do this. But I'm legit happy for Impact Wrestling. I mean, I know we don't get a chance to really talk about them like that, and that's usually because when it comes to Friday nights, I really don't have the temperament to, during a Twitch stream, I just don't, right? But when I do, I like it. I love it when I do have the energy to hang out in the Twitch, because I usually interact with some really cool folks. It's usually the same people that show up. It's a lot of people that show up for the Twitch stream, but it's usually, the same group of people every single week, adding each other, all that cool stuff. So, I mean, it's fun interactions when it's all said and done. But I think that move to Access would just honestly do phenomenal for them. Now, look, I think they should still stream on Twitch. I don't think they should just cold turkey no, especially after they made the announcement that they have a new partnership with Twitch and all that. They had announced that some weeks back. So no, they should definitely continue to do that when it's all said and done. So we'll wait and see. We don't know when they're going to be making the move officially to Access, but look, anytime I have talked about Impact Wrestling, I've said nothing but positive things about them. Maybe there's been one or two areas where I've kind of scratched my head and I've said, okay, I don't really understand that gimmick, or I don't really, they got some new guy that just debuted, or at least he's doing vignettes. I think he's called the Swinger or something like that. Um, he's funny as hell. It's cheesy as hell, and I laugh so hysterically because it's so cheesy, it's so bad, but I actually like it. I know, right? You gotta actually see what I'm talking about, but they got a lot of cool, promising young cats on that roster that's tearing it up. And I tell you, the future still looks pretty damn bright for that company. It really, really does. And anytime I am able to sit down and watch Impact Wrestling, very seldom do I have complaints about them. Very, very fucking seldom. So, on that note, for our webcast edition portion of the RCWR show, we're going to say that's it. For those of you that are wanting to check out some more bonus audio content for this week's RCWR show, basically Tuesday night, we will have it be available. We'll include an additional 15 to 25 minutes of bonus content that may take us right on up to about maybe the 2 hour mark, no more, no less. So you guys will definitely enjoy that because we have some more Impact Wrestling news to dive into. Give my thoughts about what's been happening with Chris Jericho. I really hadn't had a chance to really dive in and talk about that since last we were on the air. I had an opportunity to kind of go there, but it kind of felt like it made more sense to just wait and see more information come about and reactions on social media and all that. And I'm kind of glad that we did. So there's a ton of other stuff that we can get into. All right. So the audio version, including the bonus content, that'll be available Tuesday night for you guys. Just stay connected throughout social media and you'll know when it's available so you guys can check it out for your favorite respected platform. I had got the question about what's the best way to try to access the show and try to maybe ultimately show support for the show. I honestly would say check out the RCWR Show app. It's an app that I paid for. It's for Android. Check it out that way, or you can go get the Spreaker app. The Spreaker app is available for your respected device. It doesn't matter if it's Android, iOS. It's just available for all of those platforms. You can check it out that way. And what some of you guys probably don't know is that the way I have the monetization set up through Speaker at no cost to you whatsoever, basically for every play, download I get, through the Spreaker, either through their app or my app, monetization wise, it's putting every little penny counts. All the pennies is basically coming to my pocket, right? So it adds up. It does help out. So you can, help out that way. Definitely the RSS feed. I would say those. I've heard no complaints about the Spreaker app or the RCWR Show app available for Android only. I've heard no complaints whatsoever. So check those out. So at this point, Patreon members, we will have I want to say it's either going to be a Wrestling with the Topics or a 30 with Lee that's going to be dropping for you guys. There's also going to be one of the interviews. I think we're going to go with David McClain this week. That'll be available to you guys as soon as it's ready to go. I think we'll release the Till Piper interview the following week. And then we have the Clash of Champions pay-per-view. That'll be this Sunday. All right. So again, for you guys checking out the webcast version of the show, appreciate you all, especially those of you that checked it out live particularly. Please share your feedback, comments, all that good jazz. Interact with me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can follow me at the RCWR Show. And we will check you guys out next go round. Webcast version audience, you guys do take care. Have a great, fun, productive week. And we will catch you guys again in just a little bit. Y'all take care.